Hello, everybody. And I know lots of people are going to be joining here over the next few minutes. We are excited to tell you everything we know about reInvent, but the person who is going to be hosting us today is Jeremy Ritchie. So, Jeremy, can you introduce yourself? And this is going to be your first reInvent, right?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, I'm Jeremy. I'm a cloud architect here at Kayland. I've been working with AWS for about the last 5 years. I'm currently an AWS ambassador based up in Canada. And prior to that, I worked at another partner back in New Zealand. This is my first time to Las Vegas. This is my first time to reInvent. So I don't know what to expect at all. So I'm looking to some fellow ambassadors and AWS heroes for a bit of advice and guidance on how I can survive and get the most out of my very first reInvent.
Sounds good. Let's introduce the rest of us here. So my name is Randall. I'm VP of Cloud at Kaylant, and this will be my 11th or 12th reInvent. I've been to all of them, so this is number 12 for me, I think. And then there's that weird year 2021 where nothing was in person. But Brian, want to introduce yourself?
Sure.
Brian Tarbox. This will be my 7th or 8th reInvent. I remember when it had grown to 8,000 people, and we're like, oh my God, that's just crazy. See, I've been at Kayland. Well, I'm a principal solutions architect. I'm Randall's sidekick. I'm a community hero, an Alexa champion, and I run the Boston user group. And I will say reInvent is my favorite week of the year. I just love it. It's just deliciously insane.
It is Developer Christmas. David, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Randall. Thank you, Tim. Hello, everyone. My name is David Victoria. I'm from Mexico. I am cloud at Kayland, and this will be my 3rd reInvent. I am very excited. As Brian and Randall said, this is the Christmas, this is the holidays for developers, for builders, and I am more excited about, we are very close to reInvent, so I am very, very happy and excited.
Cool. Thanks, guys. So why don't we just start with what is the value of reInvent? Yeah, what should I look to get out of reInvent?
I think that reInvent, it's more than just an event. It's the annual gathering where you can share knowledge with leaders, with innovators, with builders, share experience, make networking, obviously learn a lot about the latest news solutions from AWS. So I think it's a full week for knowledge. I think there's a lot of new releases and features, but it's an amazing opportunity to learn more in depth about these new solutions, or even honoric solutions that exist. But you can make workshops and get data deeper.
And I'll say I go for the energy. I mean, obviously, I go to the sessions and chalk talks and those things, but it's mostly the energy. And this is one of the things with reInvent. You can be an introvert or an extrovert, and you should think about that, before you go. Like being in a room with 70,000 people who are all cheering that some service has gone serverless. I groove on that. That just fills me up. It's my wife's definition of hell. But for me, it fills me up, and I love walking around the expo also, not just for the swag, because you can only have so many t-shirts, but just to see what's the theme, what are people hawking, at the expo. It's a great way to get a pulse of the industry, I think.
I apologize if there's any background noise. It looks like my fire alarm is going off, which is good fun. So I get a lot of value out of reInvent. It's evolved over the years. So for me, I started out as a hands-on keyboard coder, and I was going to reInvent, and I think it was either 12 or 11. I think it was 12 was the first one. And I was working at this company called MongoDB, and I was going because Amazon was a partner of ours, and we ran basically the whole company on EC2. And we had been since the days of EC2 Classic. And so, it was really my first big developer conference. And then, over the years, I worked at AWS. So then I was going to reInvent to support service launches, to speak, to give talks. And now at Kalen as an AWS partner, I go to reInvent mostly to talk with product teams. So, the value of reInvent is dependent on your role, and there's different tracks that you're going to need to take to be able to take the best advantage of reInvent. But for me these days, it's really about meeting product owners at AWS and learning about the roadmap, learning about what they need from us as a partner, learning where things are moving and what we should be investing in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have to say to Brian's point, I'm really looking forward to the energy. It's like a live sports event. You can't match the energy that you get seeing a sport live than watching it on TV. But at the same time, to David's point, I'm really looking forward to a couple workshops that I've got booked and a couple chalk talks, and bumping into people, excuse me, in the hallway and just having some of those hallway chats, which I think are going to be really enlightening to where the industry is sitting in a couple key technologies at the moment.
Right. And the hallway track, I mean, we talk about it a lot. That's often the very best thing. And, there are lots of lines at reInvent, but like if you're in line for a session, don't view that as downtime. If you're in line with, 100 other people waiting to go hear on talk about technology X, talk with the people in front of you and behind you because they're interested in technology X. Yeah, I guess we don't do business cards anymore, but do whatever your phone does to trade contact information. I've heard of people printing out a copy of their QR code for their LinkedIn and pasting it to the back of their phone so you can just do that. But, the hallway track really is the best track.
Cool. Well, you've got me sold. So what do I need to know about my reInvent? My first reInvent. What are some logistical things that I would never know, having never been to Las Vegas even?
Okay. Well, the first part is you can actually get your badge at the airport. And in fact, you should get your badge at the airport. There'll be several different check-in stations, but, pick up your luggage, download the app on your phone. That's really, really important. Download the app on your phone and have the QR code ready. And then you get your badge. And then you can, directly check in and, pick up your, there'll be a conference hoodie because, oh my God, I need a 20th hoodie. But, you'll get your hoodie and stuff and probably a backpack or two. But deal with it at the airport. It's easier to deal with a couple hundred people than 10,000 people. So that's the first thing.
Vegas is dry, so I would advise everyone to hydrate repeatedly and often. It is deceptively dry. The casinos themselves have no windows. They do not expose you to the outside world, so you have no concept of time. It can be 2 a.m, but feel like 9 a.m. So just kind of focus on the basics health-wise. You want to get good sleep. You don't want to drink too much. You want to eat regular intervals. Of course, I don't do any of these things because I don't follow my own advice, so I'm just telling everyone else. And there's a lot of there's a lot to do in Vegas, but reInvent, like Brian said, it's about that hallway track. So try to stay in the venues and meet people and go to the different events. There are all kinds of sponsored happy hours and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you're there to learn. You're there to meet people, and you're there to kind of get inspired about what we're going to build next. So that's my advice. And then the swag, to Brian's point, I agree. It's okay. I lots of people care more about swag than I do. I don't. I have 85 shirts with the words AWS on them, so I'm not looking for another one, but there's plenty of opportunities to get swag. And if you've never been before, so Jeremy, this is for you. Like, you would definitely want to go pick up some of the swag, I think. I'm trying to think what else. Logistical. The buses between the different venues are relatively slow. So especially like Venetian and Wynn, I'd always just walk it. I would never bother taking the bus between the Venetian and Wynn. For the others, it's a long walk to, say, the MGM. It would take you at least 30 minutes probably. So that one, sometimes the bus is worth it. You can also just consider taking a cab. When they're big let out. So Monday night is Peter DeSantis's talk, for example. So as soon as that talk ends, everyone is going to be leaving the Sands and leaving the Venetian. So there's going to be a huge line for cabs. There's going to be a huge line for buses, and it's going to be a pain to get out of there. So a cheat code is basically, don't bother trying to leave from the Venetian, just cross the street, go to the Wynn, and try and leave from there, and there will be no line. So just kind of think on your feet, use your feet, keep moving.
Right. And a couple other things to keep in mind. If it's a 30-minute bus from Venetian to the MGM, you have to figure there's another 20 minutes within the Venetian just to get out, and there's another 20 minutes at the MGM to get in. So I try to stay at one venue per day. I will let myself do one transition per day, but I try not even to do that. The other thing is, and so many people have gotten bit by this, Caesar's Forum is not anywhere near Caesar's Palace. It's behind the Venetian, next to the Sphere. And although Amazon has lots of people with signs saying this way, none of them seem to have any idea where Caesar's Forum is. So watch out for that. The other thing is, some of the hotels limit where you can get an Uber. So like, you can't get an Uber or Lyft in front of the Venetian. You have to go someplace else.
To the parking deck.
Right. And in terms of drinking, my rule of thumb is, for every coffee or every beer, you have to have a glass of water. And the other thing I'll say, and this is just good karma, but I think karma really, really matters, is I generally come to reInvent with a stack of 40 or 50 $1 bills, because you're going to get all these free drinks and tip your servers. It's really a good thing. And especially now, I think, well, I won't go there, but tip your servers.
Fun fact, you can buy $2 bills from the US Treasury. So you can go to the UStreasury.com and just purchase a bunch of $2 bills. Those are always kind of memorable. Steve Wozniak used to do that. He was one of the co-founders of Apple. And then in terms of tipping, I know that that tipping culture is different all over the world. In the US, it's customary and expected. So you will get better service if you tip, especially if you're going to the same places. So one of the things I do is, I always know I'm going to have some sort of dinner meeting. So I preemptively book for the week one spot, and I walk in the first day and I say, listen, I'm going to be here every day at this time. I'm going to have different meetings coming and going. Here's $20. Just like, this is my spot. This is the kind of, style that I want. And, they sort of take care of me. I do that at Sushi Samba. So I don't know if anyone knows that. It's in the Venetian. It's a really great restaurant. So if you're ever looking for me and I'm not at the Keynote booth, or I'm not at, one of our events, I'm at Sushi Samba.
Right. And Randall's comments are basically about tipping at restaurants, but there's going to be so many places where there are servers just wandering around handing you free drinks. And that's a good place. You make someone's day if you treat them like a human being.
Don't gamble. So
Right.
it is Vegas and it's known for gambling, but you're all adults. You're going to make your own decisions, but I don't gamble anymore at reInvent.
Right. And in the vein of things not to do, people were talking actually today on Slack about, can you do a certification exam at Vegas? It's like, I don't know if you can or not, but why would you? This is precious time. You could take the exam anyplace. Don't take it there. Let's see. Switching to sessions and so on. Every session reserves 25% of the seats for walk-ups. So even if you didn't get the session you want, you have a good chance of being able to walk up. That's especially true later in the week as people start having their schedule explode and they've given up, or they haven't hydrated and they're just crashed. But if there's a Chalk Talk, for example, that you really want to go to, and there's only 70 seats, and you're in one of the standby lines, get there early, and you can probably get in.
So speaking of sessions, what kind of sessions are there? You just mentioned Chalk Talk. Can we run through, what sessions you think are the most valuable, and what sessions are on display for attendees to go to?
Sure, I'll jump in. I'll say I only go to Chalk Talks now because regular sessions are recorded. You can watch them later. We all say we do. Randall's probably the only one who actually does. There's 1,700 sessions recorded. I'll probably watch 20. Randall watches 1,700, I'm sure, on 7 different monitors at 5x speed. But sessions, the one place where I'd say maybe I make an exception for sessions is sessions about newly announced features. So at the keynotes, they'll talk about new services, features, whatever, and they'll often say, "Hey, there's a session on this." Go to those because that's where you get firsthand information, and that's also sometimes where you can get some really, really high-end swag, like a deep lens or something. So there's Chalk Talks, there's sessions, there's workshops. I personally don't like workshops because basically they give you 100-step cookbook of steps to do, and you type them in like a monkey without generally any understanding of what's going on. So I just go to Chalk Talks.
And I guess one note is for our customers, don't worry about watching all of the videos. That is my job. So at the end of every reInvent, this is what I did last year. It was 420 cumulative hours of videos. It was 17 days of continuous viewing at 1.5 speed. And I watched them all and I wrote reports on them, and you can see all those reports on Twitter. And that's why I have premature gray hair. But that's sort of Kaelin's job. We stay on top of everything so that you don't have to sit through 420 hours of video. There are really good sessions though. So the sessions that I think are worth attending in person are the ones like the advanced DynamoDB modeling one, the one by Alex Debris. David, you have a session. It's COM 309. It'll be in the Expo Hall. Can you tell us about that?
Of course, I will be talking about GenAI in the security perspective. It will be in the Expo, in the community launch. That is a space for the community. It's a space for community builders, heroes, that can bring value to customers, to builders. So it will be on Wednesday, as I know, if my mind don't thread me. It will be in the Expo. The Expo is the place where all the sponsors are located. So you can go to my session and review or walk through all the Expo hall and ask for swag. So it will be another amazing experience for inventors.
I typically aim for the 400 level talk. So I would say any talk that's 100 level or 200 level, it's basically marketing. It's just going to be intro to so-and-so and we're all technologists here, and I don't think we're going to learn anything from those sessions. 300, you really start to get into some good stuff, and like it's interesting, and the technical level is sufficient. 400, they're either very niche or they're life-changing talks. I mean, Eric Brandwein gave a talk back in, I think it was 2018 or 2017, and it was called A Tale of Two Encryptions. And it was just one of the most mind-opening talks I'd ever seen. And I was there in person, and then I watched it again on video probably 30 times. Those are the sessions you want to go in. And I know the AWS CLI session is going to be great. I know the DynamoDB session is going to be great with Alex Debris. And there's probably going to be some other really great sessions. There's the other thing is, we're not going to know that some of these are great until afterwards.
Right. If I can do a pitch for one other talk, a good friend of mine, Matthew Bonig, is COM 302 is doing advanced CDK lessons learned from 4 years of use. I'm not great with CDK, but I absolutely want to go there. He's a great guy, great speaker, and he's the guy to tell you. So, pivoting a little bit, if I could, to some more just tips. You do not want to let your phone run out of battery. So bring a charging brick, an external battery, and you can set the iPhones can go into power save mode when they're at 20%. I set it to 20%. I set it to power save mode at the beginning of the day, and I get through. And consider whether you really want to bring your laptop around, because you might be taking notes on your laptop during a talk, but then you think, oh, let me look at something, or oh, let me check email. And before you know, you realize you haven't been listening to the last 10 minutes of the talk. Your email can wait.
And speaking of that, I know in concerts, for example, often the reception is so bad, or the cellular networks are overloaded, and you're just unable to get communication out to your friends, your family, or to a taxi. What's it like at Vegas? Should I expect modern connectivity, or is it going to be overloaded?
Inevitably, every single year, the Wi-Fi goes down at some point. So it's going to happen. It's not an if, it's a when. A win meaning temporally, not the hotel. The thing that I do, and it's a common technique that you use at music festivals and concerts as well, is send the time that you send a text message or something. So if you're sending something at 11:23, send it with the message sent at 11:23, because sometimes in SMS these things don't go through. I will say over the years, the reception in Vegas has improved dramatically. So even inside the sands, I still get good 5G. So even when the Wi-Fi does inevitably go down, I'm typically able to still get comms going. At the replay party, so we can talk about the replay party at length, because that's one of my favorite parts of reInvent. But at that party, you should basically consider not being able to meet anybody, because the the communication is just not there. It's in an open area. It's at the Las Vegas Festival grounds. Once you're inside one of the music tents, there's no reception. There's no, you can't message anybody. You can't live stream anything. Just nothing works. So I wouldn't worry about that. I just go and enjoy the party. And then to Brian's point about charging, we tell everyone in sales, ABC, always be closing. Everyone else needs to ABC, always be charging. So have a backup battery pack. There's some of you who I'm sure are not able to not bring your laptop. That's me. I have to have my laptop at all times. But you don't have to carry it the whole time. So, give your shoulders a break. If you're a Kalian, like swing by the booth. If you're a customer, like I would advise you, like take a load off every now and then. Sit down, rub your feet, take 30 minutes. Because I think last year I walked 22 miles in one day. I think that was the Monday at reInvent. So you're going to be moving around a lot. You're going to be tired. Your body is going to take some punishment. There's a 5K run that they do every year. I can't remember if that one's on Thursday or what, but these crazy people, they wake up at 6 in the morning and they go for a 5K run before a day of conference and before the Adam Selipsky keynote. There's a wing eating contest, so I think they set the Guinness World Record for the largest wing eating contest in the world a couple of years ago. There are all of these random events. There's a bar crawl. There's there's this charity event where you pack lunches for people and you wrap presents and stuff. There's a lot of stuff to do. reInvent has enough for everybody. So I don't try to do everything. Just pick and choose your battles, and don't unless you're 21 and have all of the stamina that you never need to sleep and all those sorts of things, then you can go and do everything all at once. If you're any older than that, I strongly advise to take a break. Just take a nap every now and then.
Right. A power nap Wednesday afternoon will do a world of good. And it's not an official event, but on Monday morning, a bunch of us, I meet a bunch of folks from Europe and Asia and have breakfast at Denny's just for the absurdity of it. And that's sort of become a tradition. And there's people watching to do there as well.
Let's talk about food for a minute.
Sure.
Okay. One of the best things in the world about Vegas is food. Literally every cuisine you can imagine. So, I mean, there's the food at reInvent. The warm lunches are good. Those are the buffet and like the warm packaged lunches. Those are all fine. But also consider, browsing around. Like, don't just stay in the Venetian and eat at Chipotle every day, even though that's what I do. There's a ton of great food. The best Taco Bell in the world is in Vegas. Like, people get married there inside the Taco Bell, and it's very fancy. There's China Poblano in the Cosmo. Like, this is Mexican Asian fusion. There's just tons of delicious food everywhere. So explore, eat to your heart's content, gain 10 pounds, walk 22 miles, lose 10 pounds. It's a great time to just do things that you don't normally get a chance to eat, things you don't normally get a chance to eat.
And there's some great and there's some great steakhouses. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you're pretty excited about the food and the technology, but what are some other things you're excited about beyond
Just
those
that.
things?
It's only the food and the tech. No, I'm just teasing.
I think networking, connect with other builders, talk about your experience, talk about what you are building, talk about what are the challenges that you are facing. All the experience with your colleagues help you to upskill to increase your skills.
Right, and it's a chance to see people in person. I'm sure the ambassadors have this as well, but in the Hero program, I've got friends all over the world, and we have monthly social Zoom meetings, but I actually get to see my buddies in person, and that's really nice. I mean, Zoom is awesome, but seeing my friends from Pakistan and and Japan and South America, it's just wonderful.
70,000 of my closest friends.
Right.
The one more piece of practical advice is the temperature varies quite a bit. So, it'll be, you can walk around in a t-shirt in most of the afternoons in the mornings. By night, it gets rather cold. So I would bring a hoodie or something like a jacket so that you can easily remove it. The hotels vary their temperatures a little bit, so you might be chill in one and hot in another. So that's another piece of practical advice. And then one of the things that David brought up actually is meeting other builders. Fun story is that David and I, well, we knew each other from Twitter, but we met in person for maybe the second time at reInvent last year. And that's how I convinced you to come to Kalen. So it's a great time to be an ambassador for your company. And you don't want to do hard recruiting pitches or anything like that, but you can be an ambassador for your company and your company's values, and say why it's a great place to work. And then who knows, maybe a couple months later you get a nice Twitter message and it's like, hey, can I come work at Kalen?
That's right, totally. And remember that as you as a company, Kalen ambassador, you represents the value in front of all the people. So another thing is that you have to be respectful. You have to what's the word for
exercise good judgment, represent the company well. And this goes for Kalians and for customers. If even when you're not wearing company branded swag, you're still a representative of your company, because this is a professional event. And I actually advise people, I don't do this anymore, but I typically advise people not to wear company branded swag to the reInvent party, on the Thursday party, because that's your time to let loose. All the keynotes are over, all of the main sessions are over. There's a huge block of sessions on Friday. There are lots of repeats, so it's not really over. But even then, you still have to exercise good judgment. Don't be foolish. And yeah, it's a great time. I mean, they had Thievery Corporation playing at the reInvent party last year, and I don't know if people follow Thievery Corporation, but they're incredible. And then they had Zed. We'll find out who the musical guest is probably on Thursday when Werner does his keynote. I know we're jumping around quite a bit, but I see that we've got some Q&A going as well. Is there anything else that we need to cover before we hop over to Q&A?
I'll just say, back to the be respectful and all that. There's 70,000 people, so that means there are 70,000 phones with cameras. You do something stupid, it will be caught.
Totally.
And then, well, okay, so there's a ton of content that comes out of reInvent. There's a ton of knowledge to absorb. There will be probably 10 new services announced. I'm making that number up. I don't want the Amazon snipers to shoot me from across the street if I reveal anything. But there's going to be a bunch of new stuff. It is not your job to dive into it right then, because there's just too much. That's what the following week is for. Or if you're me, it's for what the weekend is for. If you are interested in learning more, Kalen does a reInvent recap. So first we do it for our customers, and then we'll have a public recap as well. And for the last, 8 years, every single year, I've produced the reInvent recap deck. And mine is a little bit more opinionated than the AWS one. So AWS has started releasing over the years their own version of the recap. And so we'll kind of give our strategic assessment of the various services. And keep in mind, new services are new. Like they're all going to be production ready, but it doesn't mean it's the best technical bet. Evaluate the services that come out. Don't just think this is immediately going to solve everything for you, because there are sharp corners sometimes. And those typically get resolved quite quickly. So I don't know if people remember when EKS came out back in, was it 16 or was that 15? Time is a construct. It doesn't matter. When EKS came out, it was not great at first, but they rapidly improved it and it got, better. So expect that with some of these new services. They're going to be a little basic. They're going to be functional, and they'll scale. You can depend on them for prod. But if you've got feedback, the best time to do it is to go like after the keynotes. They will release a whole new set of sessions that are specific to the new services. Go to that, sign up, go talk to the product owner. Like if you have it in your console and you've been playing around with it, the best time to get feedback is to get a connection with the product owner who's presenting, or maybe one of the technical SAs who is presenting, and go in and talk to them in real time.
Right. And most of the sessions, there really isn't an opportunity to do Q&A, but that doesn't mean you can't just hang around. Hang around near the front of the booth and there, or front of the stage, and they'll be trying to shoo you out and shoo the new people in. But just say, hey, can I to the speaker, hey, can we talk? And just get a contact, and then you can send them an email or something saying, hey, I saw your talk, I've got this question, and they'll be responsive to that. There's also new services will often only be available in a few regions. Sometimes they'll be in preview or beta mode, so you have to sign up for those. But I don't want to say be aggressive about going up to people, because bear in mind that the speaker has just given a talk, and there's always some stress involved in giving a talk, so you don't want to slam them. But if you nicely and respectfully say, hey, that was a great talk, can we talk later? They'll appreciate it. Again, treat people like humans.
And then 2 more tips. So twitch.tv/AWS is a great channel. There's also AWS On Air. I think they stream on LinkedIn, and they stream on one other channel. I can't remember. There will be people talking about the new releases on that channel all day. And there are releases that are not in the keynote that will be done on that channel. So, just kind of keep it. I normally keep a headphone in and I'm listening to that channel pretty much the whole day. And I'll selectively tune in to the things that are more attention, inducing. So if it's a new product owner or a new service, I'll tune into that. But there's also cool customer interviews. So people who are in the keynote will come on to AWS On Air and do interviews and stuff. So you can hear more about the 5-minute section of their keynote is now an expanded 30-minute interview on AWS On Air. And then we have this thing called the reInvent Session Concierge. So I'll post a link to that in this channel, or it'll be in the doobly-doo at the bottom of the video. You can use that to ask questions about which sessions you should go to. You can we basically pulled the whole session catalog data into a PostgreSQL store and created some embeddings, and then we did Anthropic Claude V2 LLM that goes and queries that Postgres table, and it'll answer any question you want to throw at it, and it might be wrong. So that's the nature of stochastic generation and things like that. So I do see that we have some questions. So I'm going to go and get on to the questions unless we have more to cover before that.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We have someone who is asking, for foreigners, is there an easy way to get a local SIM? So I know T-Mobile used to sell what's called travel SIMs or travel eSIMs. I don't know if they still do. David, do you ever get a local SIM, or do you just use your normal one?
I use my local SIM because I have data in US and Canada, but here in Mexico. When I travel to Argentina, for example, or Chile, I use Airalo. I will write in the
I can vouch for that.
It's a eSIM service, so you can buy a SIM and a data package for a couple of dollars, and it's very easy to install in your phone.
Yeah, I'm a foreigner, and I live in Canada. I'm actually in New York at the moment, and I'm using gosh, I can't say it, Airalo eSIM. They're fantastic. Just a couple of dollars and you get installed on your phone, and that's your data sorted for the week, for the month, whatever you need.
I think there's another question. Where should we pick up our badge? Is the airport the best option? If you're arriving on Sunday, the airport is definitely the best option. Monday, it's an option. The other thing is, if you get to registration very early, there's typically not a line. depends on where you're staying. So most of the registration and badge pickup is at the Sands Expo. There are other places, and that'll be available on the reInvent website. But I tend to agree with Brian that the airport is often the best option. That will not be set up if you get there earlier than Sunday. So you can't pick it up on like Saturday. So I'm getting in on Saturday, for example, and I'll have to go to the Sands Expo and pick up my badge.
Right. So you get the badge at the airport, but then you get the hoodie. So you don't actually need to bring a hoodie, because you will get a hoodie. It depends if you want, multiple hoodies, and then there's, the water bottles and stickers and all that. And if you're certified, there's another line you have to go through to verify that you're certified, to put the sticker on your badge so that you can go into the certification lounge. I tend to avoid the certification lounge anymore because, 10,000 people are now certified. They try to use the lounge. It's kind of a waste. But in that same vein of overfilling, Starbucks is not the only place to get coffee. It's probably the slowest place to get coffee. There's coffee available everywhere. I will say the Venetian is one of the hotels that doesn't serve you coffee in your room except for room service. So I bring my own AeroPress so I can have coffee before I get dressed. But the line for Starbucks is ridiculous everywhere.
Another pro tip, go to one of the 7-Elevens or Walgreens or something like that on the strip and just buy a bunch of, whatever your favorite snacks are, whatever your favorite waters are, and then just throw those in the hotel refrigerator or something. I do that because the hotel waters are something like $8 a pop, and I can buy 2-liter Perrier's for, the same amount. There was one other thing that I wanted to say. I don't know. Jeremy, how you feeling? You feel like you've learned enough, more about reInvent? What are your open questions?
I'm feeling like I need to revisit my calendar because that thing is chock-a-block. I actually recently learned that no one knows what that word means. It's New Zealand or British slang for full. So yeah, my calendar is a mess. To take in Brian's advice, if I was to follow it to the T, I will be teleporting over the strip. And I'm not sure that's going to work so well. So I've definitely got to revisit that and probably cancel some reservations and look to get on the wait list for a couple other ones. That's probably my number one takeaway so far. That and Chapstick.
Yes, Chapstick. Vegas is dry. Everyone, Chapstick. If you remember nothing else, nothing at all from this presentation, apply Chapstick liberally, because if you're going to be talking to a lot of people, it's so dry, your lips will be bleeding at the end. And then, the professional development side of things, like you're going to have the opportunity to meet people that are normally pretty hard to talk to. The very important thing to do is, after you meet these people, follow up. So it's hard in the moment with everything going on at reInvent to stay on top and remember the context of every conversation. I think I shake like 10,000 hands at reInvent, which is, germs, but whatever.
Hand sanitizer.
Hand sanitizer is another good pro tip. And as you meet these people and you have this context, you absolutely want to follow up. So if you take a note, just whatever method works best for you, you want to make sure you're following up with all of these folks. And if you, on the Chapstick side, if you need Chapstick, we have that at our booth. We're booth 1602. We're right by the AWS Developer Village. So come on to our booth. You can see me ranting about whatever new thing has been released, or raving. And yeah.
I'll say two more tips if I can. Use the law of 2 feet, which is if you're someplace and it's not working, use your 2 feet and leave. Don't stay in a session that you're not enjoying just because you don't want to, you don't want to be rude to the presenter. Don't stand up and say, "Wow, this is terrible," but just politely move, because it's better for them, and it's better for you. The other thing, in terms of getting to speak to people that you wouldn't necessarily see otherwise, there's a thing in the app called PeerTalk where you can set up one-on-one or group meetings with heroes, ambassadors, community builders, and make use of that.
Awesome.
I don't remember if we talked about that, but I have my opinion about to assist to the keynotes. I know, Brian Randall, that you prefer to view the stream in your hotel room.
Well, I think Brian loves to go in person. I'm the one who likes to watch in my hotel room because I don't want to get up at 7 a.m. to get in line.
I will say, and sorry, but heroes get reserved seating in the front row. And so that is, you can almost feel the sweat coming off of Werner.
Yeah.
And there is just something about that.
You feel the venue energy in the keynote.
Oh
I love to stay in the keynote.
Yeah.
But it's hard if you have to make the line 1 hour before and stay and wait, But I think it's a sacrifice that you can do.
Right. Well, what I'd always do is I go to the keynote, and then when it's 15 minutes or so till the end, I am drifting towards the door, because it can take you an hour to get out of the keynote hall. So you drift to the door and you go to the next thing.
Okay, great tip.
And we're hosting a little party, but Peter DeSantis's keynote on Monday night, I always love that one. So I'll be kind of watching the live stream of that while also doing some other stuff. And it's always fun because he announces the cool infrastructure stuff, the nerdy stuff, the quantum computing and the improvements in networking throughput. Like those are always in Peter's Monday night talk. And so occasionally you'll get a James Hamilton speaking, and he's always a great speaker. He's just got 50 years of technology experience to draw upon. And then you've got Solipsky's keynote. That's where all the major announcements will be typically. Then you'll have Swami's keynote. That one is typically about all of the data services, but this year I'm sure it'll have some generative AI and AI stuff as well. And then there's Werner's keynote on Thursday, which is typically the developer-focused keynote. It'll probably talk about all the developer tools and the hands-on keyboard builder stuff. There's also Ruba's keynote that'll be about the partner team, and that's typically only relevant for partners. It's not something that I suggest everyone attend. The thing with the keynotes is expect like delays. Like they don't always go on time. They don't always start on time. They don't always end on time. So you want to build a big chunk of flexibility into your schedule for those keynotes. If you're attending, expect it's going to take a while to get in. Expect it's going to take a while to get out. As per what Brian said. And even if you're watching virtually, like don't schedule things around the time of the keynotes if you want to watch them, because inevitably something gets delayed or goes long. Right.
And I would say Werner's keynote is my favorite of everything in the week, because it's the thematic. It's the soul, if you will, of the system. When he was walking around, an abandoned factory a couple of years ago and talking about, reusability or something, or last year where he talked about, where he had that great video of parallel versus sequential, and the person frying one French fry at a time. I just think that's brilliant. It's that he brings the emotion.
It's a show.
Yeah.
It's a performance.
Oh yeah.
All right, Jeremy, you ready for Vegas?
Definitely not, but I'm a bit more ready than I was before.
Well, I think we can kind of close everything out here. I guess there was one last question, which is how many hours of sleep should I get every night? 0. You know.
You don't need anything.
I don't know, man. You know, I don't know if I can absorb more than 18 hours of input a day, 5 days in a row.
Well, I'm glad I have Brian on the team this year because last year was exhausting. Okay. Listen, reInvent is going to be a fantastic time. It's developer Christmas for those of us who work with AWS, who work in the AWS ecosystem. This is, this is our Super Bowl. This is our developer Christmas. This is our, our time to shine. I love the conference. I love meeting all the people every year. For those of you who are going for the first time, I really just hope you have the best experience possible. And, Kalent's around, whether you're a customer or not, come meet us, come chat with us. Any help you need, you can shoot us messages on Twitter or wherever. We're really just there to, help developers get the best out of the event. At least that's what I'm there for. And with that, I think we can say thanks everybody for joining, and I hope we were able to get Jeremy some additional information and get him spun up on how to approach reInvent. Again, I'm Randall. We have Brian, we have Jeremy, we have David. We will all be at reInvent alongside 70,000 of our closest friends and colleagues. So looking forward to it.
Right. We hope to meet each and every one of you.
Totally.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you for the advice. Thanks for taking the time. It's been great.
Thank you so much. Thank you, team.